Hello and welcome to Close the Door and Come Here, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast with heavy leanings toward our favorite duo, Duncan Egg. Hi, my name is Chicky. You can find me on Blue Sky at Chicky, and I'm joined tonight by Devin.
Hey, this is Devin, GD Harpo on Blue Sky.
And Kama.
Hi, this is Kama. I think I'm Kama Splice on Blue Sky.
I love it when we don't remember who we are, where. It's the best. So we are podcasting tonight about the first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And you guys, I didn't even clock what the title of the episode was. Did anyone else?
No.
No.
I have it playing right now. It's the Hedge Knight.
It is called the Hedge Knight. Perfect.
Yes,
Well,
episode 1, Hedge Knight.
That couldn't be more fitting. So I'm going to just start off by saying, in case you happen to be new here, we will spoil everything. We read these novellas, the Duncan Egg novellas, years and years and years ago, and we just know too much to ever possibly pretend not to spoil about them. And also spoilers for everything, A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, and I don't know why it would come up, but House of the Dragon. Anything in that universe, we could be spoiling crazily tonight, so just be warned for that. So let's just start off. The humor in this show surprised me a little bit. Was anyone else? I
was very surprised when he's burying Sir Arlen and when he says, "You never gave me a clout that or however he said it," and it flashed back to all the other ones. I was like, "Oh, okay, so that's the tone we're setting."
Yeah, that was so much more violent than I expected. I guess
wasn't expecting that to be. I
guess I always thought Sir Arlen, despite the fact that Dunk thinks a lot in the novellas about Sir Arlen talking about, beating him, I guess I just didn't picture it being so violent. That was pretty jarring right off the bat. Okay, so let's just run through the episode. So we begin with Dunk burying Sir Arlen, his knight, the knight for whom he has squired. And I thought this was beautiful scenery, just a really beautiful scene, very, very evocative of the novella. And
it was beautiful.
Yeah. I loved that the horses were there witnessing it. I loved the way that, it was very visceral that Dunk had dug this grave himself. And the way that he was carrying Sir Arlen and putting him in the grave, I thought it was great. But I also love, after you come through this emotional moment of Dunk, feeling inadequate about, being able to conduct a funeral ceremony, then, pretty much the next thing that we're doing is the Game of Thrones theme starts to play. And I was, surprised because I had heard that, they weren't using Ramin Djawadi for the music in this. And I was like, well, this is surprising. And then all of a sudden, we get this view of, Dunk taking a very graphic shit while the theme is playing. So it's I feel like this was very much just him shitting on Game of Thrones.
It was a nice little moment.
A nice, graphic little moment.
Very graphic. Was not expecting that. And when the theme started playing, it took me out of it. I was like, wait, why is this playing? And then, as you said, he takes the shit, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here.
Yeah, it really got me, and I was like, okay, so this is the tone, between Arlen beating the crap out of him in that memory montage, and then this, I was like, okay, I guess I know where we're at. It's just, irreverent and kind of raw. And we are joined by someone else that looks like this evening. It looks like we have Guile joining us, and Guile, I will, if you are able, have you introduce yourself really quickly?
Sure, I'm Guile, and I'm on Blue Sky as Guile in Subterfuge.
And we are running through the episode right now, Guile. So we just finished up with Dunk burying Sir Arlen, which was very kind of a whirlwind of emotions, I guess. You kind of went all the way around. And so we go from there to Dunk taking off down the road, and he gets to an inn, and he goes to the stable to take care of his horses, and he finds what he believes is the stable boy there. And the stable boy is not not completely receptive to being a stable boy. It kind of seems like it's I love the part where he says, the little bald boy says, "Oh, I can take care of your horses," I guess. You know, I mean, it was just like a very, I thought they really captured kind of everything of the essence of the meeting in the novellas. What did you guys think?
It worked for me. And I think the casting was really pretty good. This kid is very good. And, knowing what we know about who he really is, it seemed appropriate that sort of hesitancy, and then, okay, he's going to do it. That was a good call, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It worked for me as well, and particularly because this show, I mean, really hinges on getting Egg right. And so far through one episode, I mean, I would imagine throughout all of it, they got it right. But just the first showing, I was very pleased with Egg. That I really enjoy what the little kid is doing.
Yeah, I liked it too, and I think this kid is pretty good. He really kind of held his own. So we go from this strange little interaction to Dunk heading inside the inn, and he talks to the innkeep, and he sits down to have some food, and then we have this kind of crazy interaction with a drunk guy who might be well dressed if he wasn't so bedraggled, and we all know this to be Darren Targaryen. So I thought this was not bad casting, but he seemed a little old to me to be Darren. I don't know. Did anyone else, what were your thoughts about this casting?
I like the casting because the guy is in, he played one of the Dudleys in the Jane Grey series where everyone secretly transforms into an animal, which sounds just as dumb as it is. But he was really funny in that series. And so, I'm hoping that maybe he's a little bit more like that, how I would think Darren would be. Also, it was he's wearing such colorful clothing. I didn't know they came in colors other than black and red, so that was cool.
Yeah, and I liked, too, his hair seemed to be very canon accurate color, too. Like blonde, but not crazy white blonde.
I like white. Yeah. I thought that was good.
So we have this drunk guy who kind of, I think the sense is he was passed out and he comes to, and he looks at Dunk and he says, "I dreamed of you," which, of course, those of us who've read the books know that this is not just very meaningful within this series, it is meaningful beyond the novellas here. And I'm really glad that they included it. I feel like, and I didn't actually podcast for the Hedge Knight episodes. I think you guys might have, some of you might have. I did re-listen to the novella, though, and I was like, I feel like they're doing word for word a lot of this. Did anyone else get that sense?
Yeah, and there's, I even saw on TikTok that there's a scene I don't think was in tonight where they were literally looking at the graphic novel, and it was word for word. There's a lot of this that's word for word, which is why, someone's so happy about it.
Yeah, I gotta say, if they were going to do this for any of the material from this universe, this makes sense that they could do it for this. And I'm pleased to see that they're adhering so closely.
Yeah, same. Well, and obviously George is very thrilled that they're adhering so closely. He's probably really thrilled if they are really just using his dialogue. That's right up his alley.
Now, see how that goes over the next.
I mean, was anyone bummed that we didn't get to see the food?
Oh, the duck that she talked about?
Yeah, that sounded great.
Yeah, well, if anybody would have been disappointed not to see the food, it would have been George. He's very serious about his food description. So we go from this sort of strange inn interaction to Dunk heading back out to the stables and having another interaction with the kiddo that he met in the stables. And this kid, who we all know to be Egg, asks Dunk if he can be his squire, basically. He finds out, I think, if he's going to Ashford, and then he asks him if he can be his squire. And I really liked this interaction, too. I feel like these two had pretty good chemistry. I mean, it must be so hard to work with a little kid like this, where he's the primary interaction you're having, but I thought they played it well.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking, is to be able to like you said, the difficulty of just working with the kid, and probably the feeling of that you have to carry a lot of it. But no, the kid playing Egg is doing a really good job. Um, and again, that particular scene where Dunk leaves off, like more of the dialogue, because in the story, we're in Dunk's thoughts. We're from his POV, and like where he flicks him the coin. I forget which kind of piece it is, and he's like, he'll pick it up when I leave. I just thought that was a really good touch, adding that from Dunk's thoughts in and having him say it out loud.
Yeah, I did feel like they had him kind of vocalize some things that he thinks in his head in the novella, which was really great. And yeah, that is one of those little hints that Egg may not be what he seems to be, and that he doesn't give a crap about this coin that falls in the dirt. It's just because it doesn't matter to him. So from here we have Dunk taking off in the night, because I remember in the novella that he couldn't afford to stay at the inn. He could just afford the meal. So he takes off and is headed for the Ashford tourney, which is where he had been headed with Sir Arlen. And he gets there, and I mean, it's funny because I had seen a lot of commentary about how small the budget was, but I really felt like the budget wasn't terribly small. They really did a good job making Ashford feel like a kind of lively and vibrant little town, I feel like.
It looks like it was well spent. You got a sense of the community and not the community, what I mean, the world kind of thing. I think that was, but they're not spending it on, these are not big name actors. They're not spending it on huge effects. I mean, it's a camp with, granted you have people in costume and horses and whatnot, but I think where the money normally goes with the other shows is not really the case here.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, they are getting to avoid some of the really costly things. Like you said, yeah, really well-known actors. This is probably a big savings. So Dunk asks for, what do they call him? The master? What do they call Plumber? Is it the master of the games?
Master of the games.
Yeah.
And so he gets taken before Plumber. Do they name him Plumber here? I missed it if they did. My favorite.
I don't think so.
I don't think they did. Yeah.
My favorite thing about this scene is that Dunk hits his head on the way in and out of the door.
In and out.
I thought that was great. That was a great detail. So Dunk goes in to try to get a slot in the tourney, and of course is challenged because Plumber does not know who he is. And so Dunk says, well, Sir Arlen of Pennytree was the man I squired for, and he knighted me before he died, and he's a little shifty-eyed about it. And Plumber, first of all, he had some funny, thing about some tortured chair if anybody tries to get in the tourney without being a knight. I was like, I don't remember this, but then it turned out to just be a joke. But we do learn that Dunk needs to be able to prove that he is a knight to get someone to vouch for him so that he can enter the tourney. And so he remembers seeing a tent of someone that Sir Arlen had worked for once, and he thinks he's going to go see if he can get them to vouch for him. Any thoughts on this scene?
Yeah, this scene, because I know that it's always a question of, was Dunk actually ever knighted? Does that ever get answered? I can't recall if it ever gets answered. I don't think it does, at least not in these 3 stories that we have. But watching that scene opposed to reading it or listening to it, it feels much more like that Sir Arlen never knighted him. Just the way the actor plays it, and maybe that was, the direction that was given, that you weren't actually knighted, but,
I thought
you're
the
going to
same
say
thing.
you were.
Because this is a debate in fandom, despite the fact that it's pretty well implied in the novellas that he was never knighted. Isn't there a thing? There's like a thing where he's thinking about the fact. What is it that he's thinking about? He's thinking about people lying or misrepresenting themselves or something at some point. And it seems very obviously to be him thinking about the fact that he was never knighted.
And then too, how he refuses, he won't, he tries to get out of knighting Raymond Fossaway.
The Fossaway, yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's one of those things that it's been, definitely most of fandom believes that he was never knighted, but sometimes people don't believe things unless they're explicitly stated in the text. So maybe the show will be confirming this for us. It feels like it. So from here, Dunk obviously hits his head again on his way out the door.
The boy needs one of those concussion helmets.
You know, he actually does need a helmet, just in general, probably for this series. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
So he heads to the tent of this person that he knows, which is Sir Manfred Dondarrion, one of the Dondarrions. He goes to the tent, but the guy's not there, but his sex workers are there. They're outside the tent, and they are funny. They're clearly meant to be some of the comic relief, and I really enjoyed them throughout this episode. I hope that they are going to remain
I
part of the
appreciated
series.
that they stayed, those poor actresses got to be fully clothed.
Yes.
Yes, that was what I was thinking the whole time watching the scene. I was like, okay, I like where we are now. We don't have to take this further. We understand who they are, what they do. Let's keep it where we've got it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the only real nudity in this whole episode is Dunk. I feel like we get plenty of Dunk's ass, but other than that, there's really not too much. So the sex workers tell Dunk, you know, he's not here. You'll have to come back later. So Dunk kind of wanders away, like clearly not sure what to do, talks to his horse. He's talking to Sweetfoot, which I just love seeing him do and hearing him do, about the little jokes that they were making at his expense. Does anybody else have any thoughts about this section? Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. So as he's wandering, I think, toward the edge of town, he sees some people fighting in the lists, and he happens to see two guys who are really trying to kind of kill each other, and one pushes the other like through a fence railing, and we know these to be the Fossaways. These are Fossaway cousins, Stefan and Raymond, and Stefan is the one who's a knight, and Raymond is his squire, his cousin from a lesser branch of the Fossaway house. And I thought this was really good casting. I was really happy with this.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Stefan sucks.
Yes, he does.
I don't like that guy.
We got the lines from the books about Raymond being what is it, unripe, or what is it that is that what they say he is? He's the unripe apple.
Yeah, not yet ripe, and yeah,
yeah, because the Fossaways have an apple as their sigil. I don't even know why. So anyway, Raymond instantly likable. Stefan tries to challenge Dunk to spar with him, and Dunk manages to kind of sidestep it. And, you know, Raymond pretty much implies that was a good move. Any other thoughts about this? We'll see more Fossaways later, I'm sure. So then Dunk goes off to the kind of edge of town where there's like a forest, and we get to see him bathing in the river, which I think happens in the novella. I mean, does this feel like it is just like scene for scene, word for word, pretty much the novella? It does feel like it in a way. I mean, I know they add some stuff in later, but...
And it looks like they're capturing the mood. The music was really good.
I love the music.
These scenes of him just existing, I thought were really cool. You know, capturing what it is indeed to be a hedge knight, you know, like your day-to-day existence.
Yeah, I love it when he's just like trying to like beat the dirt off his clothes, which I think is also in the novella. Again, just more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a little bit of pastoral, like it feels a little pastoral, which is kind of like a nice feeling in this world that we haven't had before.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that, because it was almost like you kind of got to stop and kind of breathe in like the beauty of some of the scenes in a way that you rarely would have in, say, Game of Thrones. I don't know what they're doing in House of the Dragon. Maybe that's a little different. I'm not sure.
No, it's a lot of the same.
No. Okay. I was like, I can attest that no, it is not different. So later that night, Dunk heads back into town and goes back to the tent of... back to the Dondarrion tent, and runs again into the sex workers who kind of take him into a tent. This was a very interesting scene where they had the one girl who was laid out as if she was dead, like she had the stones on her eyes that we know from this
world. What was going
world.
on with that? I was unclear.
Some sort of freaky role play
as well. Because I was like, what were they doing?
Yeah, I thought it was some sort of weird role play thing that was going on. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah.
There weren't any customers in there, so I just didn't understand.
Maybe
Right? It was just them, doing this "you're dead" thing, and I was just mystified.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out later who's into this. I'm not sure.
I mean, maybe they're practicing for a client. I don't know.
Like, could be. So yet again, he does not get to see Sir Manfred Dondarrion, so he kind of heads back off into the town, and he comes past this tent that seems to have a lot of excitement going on, and he wanders in, and there is this production happening inside. And it is a massive dragon fighting, I guess, a knight. And there's a very tall actress like standing on the stage. And I need everyone who maybe hasn't read the novellas but watched the show to know, in the novellas, like, this is just like a puppet show. And what we're getting here is way more.
This scene came on, and I was like, have I been reading the novellas wrong all this time? Because I thought these were normal-sized puppets.
I mean, it was amazing and impressive. I'm not.
Oh, it looked very
happy,
good.
but
yes.
yeah, I was expecting like a, sort of a Punch and Judy kind of setup, not these life-sized. I mean, they were beautiful. I thought it was really cool, but it was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, it was very cool, and the practical effects with the dragon breathing the fire, and it was really cool. Tanselle looked amazing, which Tanselle is the name of the performer. She doesn't even get to talk really yet, but she and Dunk do kind of have a moment, or at least Dunk seems to perceive them having a moment where she's looking at him across the tent, which was kind of cool too, I thought. Yet again, great casting. I think she's perfect for our Dornish Tanselle. I guess I should wait and see a conversation with her, but that's how I feel right now. So Dunk wanders out of the massive production puppet show tent, and he runs into Raymond Fossaway, who was the one who was getting beat up by his cousin in the earlier scene. And they kind of hit it off and are talking, and Raymond kind of invites Dunk to dinner. And this is where things diverge a bit from the book, but I think in a really fun way. I thought this was
I thought this was good. Yes.
Yeah. This was a good choice. So Raymond takes Dunk to the tent of Sir Lyonel Baratheon, who we know to be called the Laughing Storm. This is a Baratheon of House Baratheon, as in King Robert Baratheon and Joffrey, or Stannis. Joffrey isn't really a Baratheon, but Stannis. And he is wearing the most insane antler like crown situation here. That's just really in keeping, and like overseeing a really raucous like meal and celebration. It's just very much kind of like Guile said earlier. It's just like you really kind of just get to enjoy like just the scene of people having a feast.
Like, we haven't really had the Baratheons get into Baratheon to the extent that I think we should have. So I appreciate this. Like, I feel like the Baratheons should be really fun. And like in Game of Thrones, I mean, Robert's kind of past his prime. Stannis, we love him, but he's not fun. And, we never really got to see, they miscast Renly. So Renly was never fun. Like, honestly, the most fun we had with the Baratheons was that stupid helmet that they had Brienne wear. Which,
oh my God, you're right. I forgot about that.
Is sort of the precursor to that in some ways. Like, they have their headgear.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but yes, you're right. I forgot about her stupid antler helmet. It's so funny. Was that only in one episode? I think it was
like her first. I just think whoever did like the cartoon of it, which was like, I can't see shit.
So this is a great scene, and I love that Lyonel had a joke, and of course I didn't write it down, so I don't remember it exactly, but he said something about how he was not as big as people thought he should be, which I thought was kind of a joke about how all of the Baratheons in the original series weren't as big as they were supposed to be either. I thought that was funny.
He's not. I mean, it's like he has the right. I mean, he does have the laughing eyes.
Yeah, I think everything but the height is right.
Yeah.
about this
I
Lyonel.
do love that there seems to be multiple instances of them casting shade at Game of Thrones, and I'm here for it.
Same. It was a nice little swipe at Game of Thrones. So a little later in the feast, and I love that there's this scene where they start eating. Dunk is clearly very excited about the food because he is not eating that well, obviously out on the road. And he like just go ahead and like chomps into a turkey leg, which felt like a nod to like, I don't know, Renaissance fairs, or it was a really good little moment. And then, so later on, as the feast continues, Dunk gets called over to like the high table where Sir Lyonel is, and Sir Lyonel kind of gives him a hard time about not bringing him a gift, you know, kind of half serious, half not. And I thought this was an interesting scene. I assume there's going to be callbacks to this later. I guess we will see what's going on. But it seems like Sir Lyonel just finds Dunk amusing, is kind of the vibe that you get. And so he kind of tells Dunk to dance, I think is what happened. And so Dunk is awkwardly dancing with a bunch of the other people at this party. And then suddenly the Laughing Storm is out there dancing with him, and they're doing this weird stomp dance. I was like, is he flirting with him? What is happening? What was everyone else's read on
I also thought
this?
he was flirting with him. I was like, wait, I was like,
Yes.
Dunk? I was like, is that what's happening right now? So yeah, I was very much thinking that same thing.
They're planting the seeds for the mystery night of people flirting with Dunk, maybe.
Maybe that's it. I mean, I was ready to ship it. I was like, okay.
So in the distant future, doesn't Dunk, like, he has to, like, defeat Lyonel in single, doesn't he defeat him in single combat? Because of egg stupid kids?
Oh, does he?
Oh,
I don't
Like,
know.
that doesn't kill him. It doesn't kill him or anything, but yeah, I
but
think
just
it's like,
beats him. Yeah.
yeah.
That could well be. I don't know. Everything in the world of Ice and Fire is just a blur to me now. But yeah, I feel like that is making me remember something. And yes, maybe he will have to fight him later. That would be much more meaningful if they were closer in size as they are in the books. But what are you going to do?
I appreciate that they're bringing the Baratheon in more at the start of this because, the audience is going to remember that last name. And, like, again, he's supposed to be a fun character, and we don't really get a lot of him in the actual novella. So I welcome our Baratheon time.
Yeah, I think, we were all a little concerned when we heard that they were kind of padding things out and what that would be. But I was like, if all of the padding is like this, I am very here for it. This was great to me. This was a very good addition. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we move from the dancing to Lyonel and Dunk having kind of a drunken heart-to-heart. One of those conversations you have late at a bar, where things seem super meaningful, and basically Dunk is like trying to have sympathy for whatever ennui it is that Lyonel Baratheon is experiencing, and Dunk is kind of talking about what the stakes are for him at this tourney, since he could lose everything if he gets beaten, because he will have to give up like his horse and his armor and his arms to anyone who beats him.
Yeah, and Dunk also has on the antlers at this point.
Oh yeah, Dunk is wearing the crown with the antlers, the very real trophy. I don't even know what that is. Is that an elk? It must be. And I thought this was a really good scene, and I'm sure that there will be callbacks to this later. There were a few things that I was like, man, are these hints at like later things in Dunk's story? And like, now that you said that, Kyle, about will he have to fight the Laughing Storm later on, I'm like, oh man, there's probably even more Easter eggs here if I had known to spot them. So anyway, Dunk sees the man he's been looking for, Sir Manfred, right? Dondarrion, at this party, and he kind of follows him out of the tent, and Sir Manfred is with his sex workers, and Dunk kind of goes up to him and is like, do you remember me? I need someone to vouch for me. Do you remember me? Sir Arlen fought for you, or for your father in some war, and he was wounded. And then we get another flashback of Sir Arlen, which there's so much Sir Arlen in this, which I really do appreciate. But of course, this Sir Manfred, is just like kind of a dick and brushes him off, clearly doesn't remember, says a ton of people fought for him. I don't know. Any thoughts on this scene, how it played out?
There's a lot in here that's like, I really wasn't expecting quite so much, but, this idea of these are very privileged people, and they are totally oblivious to what it's like for other people. And of course, in a medieval society, you would be, but, with what's going on in our world today, Dunk has very little. And the stakes are super high for him, and this guy can't even be bothered to try to remember. Granted, it is late and he wants to get laid, but you know what I mean. It's the arrogance of this. Well, we have hundreds of people fighting for us, like, you stupid idiot, how dare you, bother me right now.
Yeah, I mean, it just really is a good reminder of how this is so much more about the plight of the small folk, because you really see what the, like, offhand disregard, even of the, like, not necessarily malevolent lords, can mean to the small folk. And you're seeing it with Dunk. So Dunk goes back to his little campsite by the river at the edge of town, and when he gets there, there's a fire burning, and lo and behold, here is this bald kid, Egg, with a fish on a spit over the fire. And Dunk is like, what are you doing here? And Egg says, well, I'm cooking or whatever. And he says that he's brushed down the horses, I think, or fed the horses or something, and like kind of done the squirely duties. And you get this really good interaction of, I feel like you just can feel how Dunk, like, doesn't want to like this kid, but likes this kid, and like
can't help but like him.
Yeah, wants to send him away, but feels bad about it at this point and doesn't really know if he should send him away. And basically says that he can squire for him for the tourney, which is a good kind of temporary feeling, I felt like. So these two then go to sleep for the night after Egg saying that he would have gotten Dunk's pavilion or, like, big tent out, like all the tents that were out in the grounds around the tourney area. And Dunk said he doesn't have one, that the tree is his tent. And I remember this joke from the book about your tent leaks because it's a tree.
Yeah.
So they fall asleep looking up at the stars, and there's a shooting star, and I think it's Egg that says that that's lucky, and that they wouldn't have been able to see it if they'd been in one of the pavilions. So they're the only ones who see the star, so it's their luck, which I thought was a great way to kind of end both the episode and the scene. What did everyone else think of that one?
Yeah, this was my favorite scene because, again, there's a lot of word for word, kind of just everything right from the story, and Dunk's delivery of the food may be salt beef, but you won't go hungry. The clothes may be rough spun, but there will be clothes on your back. Like that whole little speech there, and like Egg, like he has a little smile creep onto his face at the end of all that. And I think that just kind of nailed that scene and set up, of course, where we'll go going forward with these two. So it was my favorite scene. I really enjoyed that. And Egg's just his matter of factness to everything. Like you said, when Dunk gets like, "What are you doing?" "Cooking fish." And I did all the other things and would have done this, but it wasn't here and yada yada. I just thought it was really good and very well done, well acted.
Yeah, it was really cute. Good. So it was as word for word as I thought. I thought that scene was a lot word for word too. I remembered the thing about the leaking tree from the books. Oh, this is great. Did we have any mail for this episode?
We did. Some of this we might have already addressed. Buck O'Hare from the Discord asks, I would love your general views on MVP, most valuable player, most surprising performance, best addition from the screenplay, best book moment. I mean, we've talked about this. Worst addition? How much is it tits and dragons out of a scale of 0 to 10? Decent to okay, at a scale of 0, decent and mature treatment of the material 10. I mean, I'll jump in here. I mean, I honestly, while I was expecting it to be more of an actual puppet show, I thought that was really cool that they were these big, larger than life puppets. I'm largely happy with this.
Yeah, I mean, some of the kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say junior high boy humor was surprising to me, but it was fine. I mean, I'm not going to say I loved it, but it kind of helped set a tone that I'm happy with, if that makes any sense. So it was a little bit of a surprise, but I think it was good. Oh gosh, I think my favorite addition was the scene, just the whole entire, tent with Lyonel Baratheon. I thought that was a great addition. Very happy with that.
Yes, I would agree with that. That scene being a great addition, and as well, you said, the puppets being what they turned them into for the show. I thought that was fantastic. And it's an MVP. For me, Egg, because like I said, the story for me, like a lot of it hinges on him. And what we come to learn about him later. So I think the kid he did a really good job. And Dunk would honestly be a runner up behind him. While we've been going through, I had it on mute in the background, and I was just watching Dunk and some of the scenes. And that actor is doing a lot of really good physical acting with his like a lot of different facial expressions and like swatting at the bugs off his neck and like when he hits his head and like all those things. So he's doing a lot of things that like I didn't even catch at first watching it, but that I really was enjoying having it on mute and just seeing some of those things. So but overall I'm very pleased with this first episode and looking forward to where we go from here.
Yeah, same. I will say also, and I meant to mention this earlier, I kind of felt, because I know that in interviews, actor, what's his name? Peter Claffey? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Had said that he had kind of studied the way that Gwendolyn Christie played Brienne in Game of Thrones, because of course, Brienne is a descendant of Dunk's. We don't know how for sure, but we do know that that's true. And I really, there were some times that I was like, man, I don't know if they just cast him because he looked a bit like her, but like there were times where I just was like, man, this is the kind of expression she would have had in this situation. So I kind of felt like that was a great callback. I don't love everything about Game of Thrones, but that was nice.
We had, okay, we've already answered. Between America and the Discord asks, what are the most enjoyable parts of episode 1? I think we've touched on that. We've also, the other question was how many Easter eggs, pun intended, could you spot? I think we got 2 already. And then Sadie on Discord asks, the Laughing Storm, she explained this to me and I've already forgotten, I'm afraid. Worth the UTI or no? I don't know if that's about.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He's not.
Nope.
And then Dramatic Humor 5363 on Reddit asks, what are the direct parallels you see between Duncan and Egg and Brienne and Jaime?
I mean, I don't know that there's parallels between Duncan Egg and Brienne and Jaime.
I think the humor, I mean, like, the slightly, smart alecky humor of Egg, maybe?
I mean, I think, like, are there parallels between Brienne and Pod and Duncan Egg? Yeah.
Yeah, that's more for me, the Brienne and Pod, which there is so much of this which may not make as much sense to people who've only seen the show because that was a little bit different vibe there.
Yeah.
In the books, it's kind of the same kind of thing. Podrick follows Brienne and kind of stalks her a little bit before she accepts him as her squire. And that is absolutely an echo of what happened here.
And there's that aspect of being the teacher, like she takes that on pretty explicitly. And I think, like, doesn't she give, if I remember correctly, I think she gives Pod like a little speech about it, because there's one point where he shows her like the calluses that he has. like he's all proud of like that he has the calluses that she said, he was going to be hurting, when he's practicing every day. I could 100% be making this up in my head at this point, but I am like 90% sure this happened.
Yeah, there is something about that, I think.
And it's just like, it's weird because obviously the world that Brienne and Pod are in is like 100 times more violent than this world at this moment in time that Dunk and Egg are in. But like Brienne and Pod's relationship in the book is a lot more gentle. And I think that is because she is a woman. She is going to have a little bit of a different relationship with him. Whereas Dunk is a little bit tougher on Egg.
Yeah. Well, she certainly never threatens to hit Podrick. That's for sure.
I mean, she might have wanted to give him she might have said something about a clout to the head at some point.
Does she? I don't know.
I doubt she does too.
I mean, in the show, yes.
Yeah.
Probably. Not in the books, I don't think. So is there any other mail?
No, that's our mail.
Okay. So I promised that I would ask if anyone has commentary about the interview that George R. R. Martin gave to The Hollywood Reporter this last week. It came out. Did anyone else other than me read it?
I looked at it and it made me so irritated with this man and so ragey. Like, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. But like I get, like, people shouldn't be openly speculating about you falling into ill health and dying at public events. 100% there, right? That's just wrong. But like, when there's a point in the interview where he starts talking about characters that he was gonna kill off, but they're popular, so he might keep them. And I don't know. I was just like, oh, you don't even know what you're doing. And I was just like, I'm done.
That was the frustrating thing about it. Like reading through, and you, like you said, you got to certain points where he's talking about the characters, or like, I wrote this Tyrion chapter and I loved it. Then the next day, hey, I can't put this here. It changes the whole story. Like just some of those things where I was just like, okay, dude, and I've stopped caring a very long time ago for the most part. But there's always still that little piece, that's like, well, maybe. And then you read that and it's like, yeah, no.
Didn't he say he had like 1,100 pages of wins?
Transcript. Mm-hmm.
He's been saying that.
Liar.
And he said that for how long now?
It's been years.
And the the journalist made the point of saying that figure hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he started, the other thing I was like, okay, God knows, if you've ever listened to this podcast, I am not a fan of D&D. Hate them. But it was really interesting hearing him talking about the showrunners for Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and then how great it is right now with Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And it's like, oh, dude, you must be impossible to. I mean,
yeah,
it really,
yeah,
where it was to the point where they were like a couple different times where we're like, HBO basically just told them to stop giving the notes right to the showrunners, give them to us, we'll filter, like all of that. And I think there was even from the interview where one of the showrunners, I can't remember which, if it was Dragons or Thrones, but that he wasn't, like, the things that they could practically do, like he wouldn't budge on some things that for TV couldn't be done anyway. So it was just kind of like, were you really being that difficult?
Well, I mean, when you look back at Game of Thrones, when you could see things starting to sour, it would be, and God knows, I mean, what they did to his stuff at the end was egregious. But like, it starts out with practical things. Like, they don't have actors in helmets in the battlefield because, you know what, it's TV and we need to be able to see who these people are. And he can't let go, or they kill off a character who honestly does not appear to have a giant role in the saga. And he gets very upset. And I'm guessing that he can't let any of it go. And that's got to be frustrating to work with.
If he was going to base it on what they, end of season 4, where they take Jaime's character and do a 180 with it, I would be okay with him being like, fuck you. because that is a super important main character that they've done a 180 on for funsies. And, that I would have a problem with as the writer, but I mean, he doesn't get the privilege of that because he kind of wasted his outrage earlier.
Yeah.
I think
political capital, and he could have held on to that and maybe fought some of this stuff later, but he worried about, I don't know,
helmets.
one of Dany's blood riders not, making it through or something.
Yeah. He really should have kept his powder dry longer with Game of Thrones, and he might have had a little bit more influence further down the line.
I find his delusion annoying. I'm going to write more Duncan Egg. No, you're not. You're not ever writing more Duncan Egg novellas. Like, we know that you're not. It's not going to happen. Especially if you think you're going to do it after you finish The Winds of Winter. Like, no, I just am astonished that after how many years has Pod been hanging in the air?
11?
14, 15.
14?
Almost
this many
almost
years.
20, actually,
Almost
because
20.
Feast came out in 2006, I hate to say.
So, like, 20 years of this cliffhanger that you've given us, and you have nothing. So the fact that you somehow can imagine yourself, like, it's like one hell of a delusion. And, I don't think we're particularly feeling kind to him. Like, I don't wish him ill will, but I just wish he would, like, shut up maybe.
I think that's the thing, like, shut up about it.
Well, at one point, he's talking about characters he's gonna, like, I think he says, well, Sansa seems popular. And I'm like, I killed her off in this. And I'm like, okay, so, well, first of all, this tells me at least that, nothing is set in stone, and maybe Shireen isn't dead, which I'm okay with. But it's just sort of like, why are you sharing this? I don't understand.
And he almost said it as a throwaway. And I was like, that's a pretty big character.
I think it was a throwaway. Yeah, I think it was an offhand remark. I was going to kill Sansa.
Well, and, like, honestly, I've read your books. I feel as if I'm, like, fairly good at interpreting things. Killing off Sansa seems really dumb. Like, it seems pretty dumb if she's the character that's not going to make it to the end. Because she seems like a character that you're building to make it to the end. So if you kill her in the 11th hour, then it's like the same bullshit, let's do things for shock value that don't have any meaning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not shocked that he might have been planning to kill Sansa. That doesn't actually shock me at all.
Yeah, but I think it was the way he was expressing it is the big thing for me. It was just sort of like this casual. It just read like, okay.
I think the thing that's bad about it is that he said that it would be in reaction to what happened on the show. That he might keep her alive as a spite toward the show, which was funny to me.
If he wants to spite the show, I have like.
Well, exactly.
We got notes.
This whole thing, though, the reporter, and it took me a minute. It was like my second read that I even noticed. This was James Hibbard that he gave this interview to.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, James Hibbard, who wrote a Game of Thrones book and was very in deep with the Game of Thrones showrunners and got really good access to the sets when the show was running. He was probably getting the most access of anyone. So this was a very deliberate move on George's part. I feel like it was very much a shot across the bow of all the showrunners to stay in line. It was in the Hollywood Reporter. This is very much a Hollywood-focused publication. This is not really for anyone but Hollywood. So,
was he sober when he gave this interview?
I do wonder that. It was in his bar, so I don't know.
Probably not.
It reads like rambling drunken guy. That was the other thing.
So my read on it, here's my read. I have the controversial read. I actually took it as a good sign. I had given up on him ever finishing Winds himself. I think we will eventually see whatever he has written. I have given up on the idea of him being the person who publishes it. But I kind of have a little more hope now because there are like several little asides in this interview that read like someone who might be in the thick of writing, which even though he's talking about wanting to work on other things, there's just something about it where I'm like, oh, he's really living not just in Westeros, but in the main series, because he was so ready to throw out the names of main series characters, which he hasn't done for years. He really has been so much more in his Targaryen era, in interviews for the last 5 or 6 years. There just has not been a lot. I mean, like throwing in the Jon thing was a pretty big spoiler in a way. I mean, not that Jon lives, but the fact that Jon is going to get chapters is a spoiler. I mean, he's really clearly living in that world. And so to me, I took it as kind of a good sign because he was clearly...
Shit, you guys, do we still have his email address? Do we need to put on like a full court press here?
Jesus. We should ask Jinmo if she's heard from him lately.
Yeah, like, damn.
Was it Kit Harington's idea of Jon? I confess I
my God.
This part. Jon and Essos.
The Jon Snow thing.
But, you know. It's like, okay.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was the other part of the interview where they touched on the John sequel show, where him Beyond the Wall, and I was like, okay, I'm glad whatever that was got scrapped because we don't need more sad John.
No.
Oh yeah, like he killed himself. Like, great. That seems like just what I'm in the mood for.
But Chicky, I definitely see your perspective on it after reading it. Like I felt a little of that, but I think I was still mostly annoyed because the other thing that I tend to come back to is it's not just winds. There's a dream of spring.
Oh yeah, well, we're never getting that.
And that's the thing. We will never get the end.
There's no end. We'll never get an ending.
Does Winds end with Dany leaving Essos, or does Winds end with
it
would have
Stannis
to,
burning
if there's only 2 books
Shireen
left.
and then nothing happened? Or not Stannis burning Shireen, but Shireen getting burned and nothing happening?
I don't...
Jon waking up, like, is he Ghost Jon for the whole book, maybe?
Oh, God. I mean, maybe. He might be Ghost Jon for the whole book. That might be one way to save on some chapters, I guess. Just do a couple of ghost chapters. I don't know. I think originally
I guess the
Dany
wall could come down at the end of Winds.
Probably.
Like
that was always my guess of what would happen, because you wouldn't want that to happen in a theoretical Dream of Spring. You would want it to happen in Winds. And I mean, Winds of Winter is the name. It just sounds like the wall comes down.
And that could be like the two things, is Dany leaving and the wall coming down is like kind of the two climaxes of the book.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because he still talks a lot about wanting to finish in 2. And, I heard something Elio Garcia said that was interesting. He said, part of his problem is that he's just so focused on only doing it in 2 books when clearly he needs at least 3 or 4 more books to really finish the story. And you get the feeling that maybe he is trying to force his pacing up a little bit, because I've always thought, what is your thought if you don't have Dany get to Westeros until your theoretical 7th and last book? That just doesn't make any sense. And yet I think at one point actually said that Dany basically would leave for Westeros at the end of Winds. I think he kind of dropped that one. So I don't know. Who knows? I don't think he has a good enough grasp on it. And I think that's part of his problem, is that he's trying to figure it out.
Although, I mean, yeah, I guess if you assume Dany is going to be Dany's going to be fighting Aegon at the start of the 7th book. That doesn't even let you get rid of doesn't even let you get rid of characters before. That's a lot. Yeah.
No, it should be happening in Winds. I mean, she should be in Westeros and Winds. And that's not what's going to happen. It's very obviously not what's going to be.
He could just get away with, and suddenly Dany appears.
I mean, honestly,
well,
he used to do things like that in a Game of Thrones and in Clash. He could move at that kind of pace, and it would be refreshing if he would.
That whole business of the 5-year gap. I mean, that's what would have solved all this crap, and he just couldn't do that. So,
well, it's our fault because he was in his Jaime and Brienne thing there, so we didn't want to do it.
It's Feast yet again. Feast is the problem.
And we love him for it, but
we do love him for it. We love and hate him for it. I mean, it's a real mixed bag.
The F you old man. I say it with love. I just,
he's like the uncle that you fight with at Thanksgiving. You love him, but
he's
you're mad
so
at him.
frustrating.
Yeah.
But he's so frustrating. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, I guess we've probably beaten this. Actually, probably not. We could have done a whole episode on this interview that George gave, but it'll probably come up again later. We're going to be talking weekly, which we don't normally get to do, so I'm sure we'll talk more in our next episode. If you have some feedback for us about anything that you've heard in this episode or that you think that we haven't talked about, or if you have thoughts on George's interview, you can reach us many places. We have our Gmail, which is closethedoor@gmail.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at close the door, right? Close the door?
Yeah.
Close the door. On Blue Sky. You can always message us anonymously on Tumblr if you don't want us to know who you are. Our Tumblr is closethedoorandcomehere.tumblr.com. And you can also leave questions for us for upcoming episodes on the Jaime Brienne subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/Jaime Brienne. And with that, oh God, I can't believe we're doing more TV episodes, guys. This is the funniest thing we've ever done. With that, I am closing the door. Get out.